Hiya, friends and neighbors. This is your old pal Eshkalar, the world's greatest Canadian wizard, even though I'm Canadian with a DNA test. We're not the same up there. I mean, if you haven't seen South Park, there's a lot to learn. So, anyway, I have here to, because I'm going to be busy for a while, I think I'm transferring states of existence, which means you may never see me again. For some people, that's not so bad. For other people, I'd be like, "Aw, I was hoping Eshkalar come out with another joke." Well, this is the final joke, the big joke, the biggest joke ever happened. And your old pal Eshkalar was at the heart of it, and so was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and our favorite draconian leader, Santa Claus. So here's the deal. Santa Claus ran the North Pole megapolis with an iron fist. He didn't pay the elves, they worked for room and board. Oh, you think I'm kidding? Have you ever seen an elf's paycheck? I don't think so. Or a stub? Oh, no, they didn't. And if you got on his bad side, he'd come for you with a jack-in-a-box. And we'd seen that happen before. And you wake up in the middle of the night, cold sweat, hearing dun, 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 dun. No. So, it wasn't a really good experience back there. And Santa was extra stressed that year, 71 years ago, because he and Jesus were still in competition to see who would get worshipped by the most people over the holiday season. Well, obviously, Santa won. But back then, the issue was still in doubt. And he was a rough sucker back then. So the only people up at the North Pole megapolis ever had any fun were Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, who could get away with almost anything because he and Santa shared DNA. I'm not telling that story. Not here. Not for free. I'll start a Patreon if you really want to hear it. And your old pal Eshkalar, the world's greatest Canadian wizard. Because I'm a free spirit. Holy mackerel. I have to be free because I usually don't have any money. So anyway, with old Eshkalar and Rudolph came a certain amount of freedom of action. And so we used to get together on our smoke breaks, and I'd throw an entropic barrier outside of the North Pole megapolis because we weren't allowed to smoke inside, and that would stop the wind and the cold because it's like 80-mile-an-hour wind and 50 degrees below zero cold. Yeah, you Europeans and metric people, do the translation yourself. There's probably a button for it. Why do you cry about us doing it right when you can't do it right either? So anyway, oh wait, the meter is a platinum block somewhere in France in a refrigerator and the power went off, so the meter isn't a meter anymore. Is it? No, it's not. You have to get a better meter. There's got to be a joke there somewhere. Anyway, so this is about the North Pole megapolis and the night the drugs stole Christmas. That's right. So we were all high one night, Rudolph and I think it was the 24th of December, and we had some time off before we had to load the sleigh, and so instead of paying attention to what we had to do in the future, we was getting pretty darn high. And we was drinking beer, and we was smoking weed, and we was watching, what were we watching? The Penguins lose again? It's a thing, it's a meme. And then the sleigh alarm went off. We were like, oh crap, we forgot tonight's toy night. Oh, jeez. So now we're running down there. I'm running down. I had to run down in slow motion. Boy, like Phantasm. And Rudolph's like skittering behind me. And we finally whoa, bang, bang, bang up against the wall. And here we are. And there's Santa standing by the sleigh. And he's like not in a good mood. You guys should have been here an hour ago. The clock broke. The letter's in the mail. The dog ate my homework. The usual. And he says, get to work. So we're like, yes, sir. So I went over and started checking off the bags. Mongolia, Romania, let's see, Hungary, Libya, none for you, Iraq. Oh, none for him either. wait. Saudi Arabia. I'm clicking all these bags off. And they're throwing them on the sleigh. And I really can't pay attention to what I'm doing because I'm pretty high. And Rudolph is trying to get into the harnesses. He's like, crap. Not again. So this is going on for about an hour, and Santa's getting redder and redder, and the cloud over his head's getting darker and darker. He's about ready to spit lightning bolts at us, and he's got another bag on his shoulder, and we're pretty sure it has the Jack-in-the-Box in it. So we're working as hard as we can, as flogged as we are. I mean, really, we were so flogged. Well, we're flogged like the Supreme Court. Did anybody ever drug test those guys? I didn't think so. So anyway. So finally, we get everything on the sleigh, and Rudolph, and the reindeer, pull the sleigh out onto the landing strip, and they go up into the air. And they're kind of doing this too, because Rudolph's so high, But he's got an aerobatics license, so it's all good to go. And they're flying on for a while. This is the story as I heard it, because I wasn't on the sleigh. But what happened was, Rudolph was so kicked in the ass he couldn't see straight. It's like flying through the fog. And so he flew over a bunch of places he couldn't see, really, because it's just dark on the ground, because they were poor kids' houses, and poor kids don't have a lot of lights, don't have a lot of Christmas decorations. So it's just like dark, 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 dark. And Rudolph couldn't see it. Then he saw lights everywhere, and bowing Santas, and snorting Rudolphs, and all that, rich kids' houses. So he's like, oh, boom. Santa's like, oh, throw out some toys. And then up, and then off to the next area. Well, fly over all these poor people's houses, he couldn't see them. He was so kicked in the head. So, see another rich kid's house, down there, boom. Santa threw off some more toys. After 5 or 6 of these, Santa realized he was developing a toy surplus. Somebody wasn't getting toys. But he was already, in the zone, And Rudolph was, supposed to take care of the navigation. Whee! And so, what happened was, Santa realized, hey, I'm going to end up with all these surplus toys. It's not going to look good when I get audited at the end of the year, so I'll just throw off more toys at every stop. So they stop at a rich kid's house, and Santa threw off 50 toys or so. And they'd stop, fly over all the poor kids' houses, because Rudolph couldn't see them, and then stop at the next rich kid's house. Santa threw off 50 toys or so. And those toys are more important to the rich kids than they are to the poor kids. Because, poor kid is like, oh, I got a toy, oh, I'm so happy. And the rich kids are like, another roll of Kruger ads. Clunk. Sorry, dog. So anyway, what happened was all the toys got delivered, but they didn't get delivered to the poor kids. They all got delivered to the rich kids because Rudolph was so high. And that was partly my fault because, like I says, I bring the kind of weed that El Chapo calls me on the phone and says, hey, can I have a bag of that? So, well, Santa got back. He was pretty mad because he finally figured out there was something wrong because usually you deliver to, 6 billion households. Instead, he's delivered to 50,000, because he's only delivered to the rich kids' houses. And so he calls us on the carpet and he starts, questioning Rudolph. And Rudolph is, I must say, one thing about Rudolph, no matter how bad the North Pole is up there, Rudolph is a solid friend. He went, Eshkalar did it. So by the time Santa Claus turned to look at me, I was already out the door. And I, running for all I was worth. I thought, there's Wolverine frozen in the ice. But I thought, there's Captain America frozen in the ice. Marvel doesn't recycle those stories. So I kept running and kept running and kept running and kept running and kept running. And then ended up in Canada. And that's how I became a Canadian wizard. And that's how the tradition began that rich kids get all the toys on Christmas and the poor kids don't get none. Even so, because the rich kids can afford to go to super PACs, and the poor kids can't afford to donate any kind of amount that makes anybody pay attention. Well, Santa got the good hype, and he won the war against Jesus for who gets worshipped at Christmas. And that's all kind of my fault. So I thought I would clear up with you guys and apologize most abjectly before I transition states of existence and maybe don't see you no more. And in the meantime, if you want things to be good, if you want kids to get toys at all, don't send Rudolph any booze. And if he is drinking, take his keys. Mm-hmm. And also, don't tell Santa where Eshkalar lives, because Santa's still looking for me. And he's got the Jack-in-the-Box. Doon, 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 doon. All right, well, that was my story for tonight. The 10th of December, 2024. And if there's a better story, I'd like to hear it, because that was the greatest story never told until now.